Friends, Jesus was born in a 28th generation of King David's royal line. The Old Testament prophecies and the New Testament accounts tell us that he was a most unusual person who came to earth on a self-giving mission to redeem guilty people and establish a new humanity. He lived on earth for 33 years. He resisted and defeated all worldly attractions and diabolical temptations to entrap him and distract him from his divine mission. During his last 3 years on earth, his unique public teaching ministry was accompanied by a tested miraculous power. He exercised unparalleled authority in both spiritual and physical realms. Yet he lived a humble and poor life of suffering and self-giving love. He served the desperately sick, poor, and the socially despised and rejected. Jesus' lineage from the royal house of David, his profound divine teaching and his miraculous power impressed the masses. His popularity aroused the jealousy and insecurity of the religious Jewish leaders. His teaching also challenged their ignorance of scriptures and their religious corruption and hypocrisy. So they determined to get rid of him and plotted to convince the ruling Roman authority that he must be put to death. Friends, on Palm Sunday, Jesus entered Jerusalem riding a borrowed donkey, followed by the masses who acknowledged him as the promised royal son of David. While the murderous plans of his haters were repeatedly foiled, he voluntarily, at time of his own choice, handed himself over to them to fulfill their wishes. Desiring to accomplish redemption of undeserving rebellious sinners, he allowed them to arrest and detain him. The religious leaders convinced the Roman authorities to receive him to be executed as a criminal. They humiliated him and inflicted on him much physical suffering, falsely accusing him of both religious blasphemy and political rebellion against Roman rule. Friends, in fulfillment of Old Testament scriptures, Jesus the Messiah remained silent. He neither resisted nor defended his innocence. The masses wrongly assumed that he lost his miraculous power. So they agreed with the religious leaders and joined the call for his death. Even though he enjoyed unparalleled divine power, Christ willingly surrendered to the wishes of his enemies to put him to death. He was crucified along with two convicted criminals, one on his right and another on his left. His death was confirmed, and his dead body was handed over for burial in a well-guarded tomb. On the third day he rose from death. This too fulfilled Old Testament prophecies. The tomb guards reported the disappearance of his body from the grave. Women and apostles visited the tomb and confirmed it. Friends, Jesus repeatedly showed himself alive to believers, spending 40 days on earth after his resurrection, meeting with them and most especially with his apostles, teaching them the true meaning of Old Testament scriptures. Friends, the fact is that Jesus the Messiah arose from death. This was predicted in the Old Testament and well documented in the New Testament. Both Old and New Testaments agree on the vital reason for his triumphant resurrection. The early church testified to that reason. On the great day of Pentecost, the Apostle Peter addressed the Jewish leadership about it. In the presence of thousands of people in Jerusalem, he said, "Men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested to you by God with mighty works and wonders and signs that God did through him in your midst, as you yourselves know, this Jesus, delivered up according to the definite plan and foreknowledge of God, you crucified and killed by the hands of lawless men. God raised him up, loosing the pangs of death, because it was not possible for him to be held by it." The apostle pointed his listeners to what the Old Testament scriptures confirmed, saying, "For David says concerning him, I saw the Lord always before me, for he is at my right hand, that I may not be shaken. Therefore my heart was glad, and my tongue rejoiced. My flesh also will dwell in hope. For you will not abandon my soul to Hades, or let your Holy One see corruption. You have made known to me the paths of life. You will make me full of gladness with your presence." The Apostle Paul also made that clear in the first chapter of his epistle to the believers in Rome. He wrote that he himself was set apart for the gospel of God, which he promised beforehand through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures, concerning his Son, who was descended from David according to the flesh, and was declared to be the Son of God in power, according to the Spirit of holiness, by his resurrection from the dead. Friends, the reason for Jesus' resurrection is crystal clear. All people are born with sinful souls and already destined to die. This applied to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and David, as well as all their descendants. Jesus, as the promised seed of the woman, received a sinless human soul in the womb of his virgin mother, Mary. His soul remained perfectly sinless throughout his 33 years of life on earth. He never thought, desired, said, or did anything wrong. Still manifesting divine, self-giving, saving grace, he voluntarily took on himself the sins of those who trust in him, and thus accepted to die the death that we deserve. So he died on our behalf, yet the sins and death he took on himself on our behalf could not impact his powerfully holy, sinless soul. Death could not keep hold of him, so he rose back to life, sealing eternal salvation for all who cling to him. Hallelujah.